Hi and welcome to Painting in the Shed. On this episode I wanted to paint an acrylic painting really fast. I paint at a lot of events like weddings and church services, music events, any sort of event that I'm invited to paint, and sometimes I have a very limited time, and I've had a few people on here ask me how to blend acrylics quickly and stuff, and you might have noticed I've done a lot of waterfalls recently, so I'm going to do a waterfall painting but as quick as I can. I'm not going to edit the video too much, so the time that it takes is the time that it takes, and hopefully you can pick up some things along the way and see how I paint and see all the different techniques I use. I'm going to use a small canvas just because I can't get the camera to focus on a big canvas with me painting and all that, so it's easier to do it small, but it's the same principles involved with the acrylic paint and how I blend them and in what order I use them. So I hope you enjoy this video and hope it's helpful for those people using acrylic and stuff at the moment, and I hope that you learn some techniques. So I hope you enjoy. Okay, so here are the colours I use. Please pause that if you need to. Yeah, it's quite a lot of colours on this painting. I started off with titanium white, and then a bit of lemon yellow, and then a bit of yellow ochre on top of that. This beginning part is actually probably the most important part, is getting the light exactly where you want it to be. If you're painting for an event, it's best to start with the light and work your way from that point. So here I am working with the light area first. It's really hard for me to explain what I'm doing because it's so quick. This first stage is I'm using a 1-inch brush to mix in the paint there that I put on with the round bristle brush, which I use throughout the beginning of this whole painting. Here I am using a little bit of burnt sienna in with the yellow ochre, adding it darker as I go more towards the foreground. So the background starts off really light, and then as you become, as you come forward, use darker colours. Oh gosh, but the bristle brush has a nice round tip to it, so you can do sort of thin branches like that, like tree trunks and stuff with the same brush, and you can push harder and get a flatter stroke, so you can sort of fill in some areas. So it's a good brush to use to begin with, but you have that bigger brush on standby to blend in any areas that you need to if it's not looking very blended. And I think that's the trick with acrylics, is to blend areas, you put the paint in first with the small brush, and then you use the bigger brush that's clean and slightly damp, and you just blend those areas in together really quickly. Right now I'm adding more burnt sienna to the mix, adding some more branches in, and because it's all still wet, it's all still kind of mixing together, which is great. With acrylic paint, as you know, it dries so quickly that you get sort of lines where it's dried and it gets frustrating and stuff. That's why you have to work really fast, and actually doing trees really fast is a good idea. The only rule is that trees are thicker by the trunk and they get thinner as they go out towards the branches. That's the only kind of rule you have to think about, and you can just hold the brush really loosely and let it just roll around the canvas and let it just do its own thing, because trees are very natural objects and shapes and stuff, and you can't actually create that without copying a tree, without looking at photographs. You have to just let your brush and your hand just make that kind of free movement, and that's how I do trees. I just let it go. I just put the paint on the brush and hope that it will make a tree shape. You can see on the left there, the tree, actually one of the branches looks thicker at the top, which is, it's okay. It's not ideal, it's not exactly what I wanted, but I know that I'm going to cover that with some leaves afterwards. Right now I'm adding small, I'm adding burnt umber. So you got yellow ochre, burnt umber, and the white as well, and I'm putting in these rocks here, leading down to the waterfall. Obviously the waterfall's where the lowest point of the rocks is, so you have to kind of consider where that's going to be. I know where it's going to be, it's just going to be there to the left of my brush. But I kind of want the tree trunks to kind of blend with the rocks, so you kind of don't know where the tree trunks start and the rocks start, and I don't know. Just, a bit of crimson. I put crimson in there because I know that the bottom part of the painting is going to be blue and yellow. I didn't want lots of green, so I put the red in there so I could go to purple without creating lots of green. That's the one trick, if you add red to any mixture of blue and yellow, you won't get green. you have to experiment with that yourself. See, I'm adding the blue here, the Prussian blue, to the mixture, and you can see it's not going green, even though there is quite a lot of yellow ochre still in the mixture. It's not going green. Okay, now I've got the second light area, so I'm starting, it's almost like starting again, but with the bottom section where the waterfall, I know there's going to be a lot of light down there where the waterfall is, so it's lemon yellow, followed by the blue, the Prussian blue, and hopefully that Prussian blue will mix into the brown rocks and stuff with the crimson and not actually create a dirty colour. Hopefully it'll be quite a clean colour. That's why I keep disappearing into the background, is wiping my brush off on a piece of tissue paper, basically to soak off the paint that's on the brush, because one of the things I think that takes time when you're learning to paint is how much paint you've got on your brush and what it's going to do when you put it on the canvas, and that only comes with experience, like lots of practice. So for me, I just feel on the brush, I know how much is on the brush, I know I've got a lot of blue on the brush, I need to wipe it off now, go back here, I've still got a bit of blue on my brush but I need to wipe it off again, you know, and I just know where my brush is at and what it's doing, and that really comes with practice. Yeah, so I'm going back with a clean brush now. I think I used many brushes on this painting, probably about 7 or 8 brushes. Here I know where the waterfall is going to be, I'm thinking about it, I'm planning ahead, I'm putting some white down there where the mist of the waterfall is going to be. But you know, it's really difficult because all this paint is still wet, even the stuff above is still wet. As you can see, I'm painting up into the rocks here and the rocks are still wet, so I'm almost wiping off the paint off my brush and wiping it onto a piece of tissue. I'm taking the paint off at this stage, so I'm kind of, yeah, it's really strange with acrylics. You get to know acrylics and you get to know how dry they are and how wet they are on the canvas, and you know when to take it off and when to put it on. At the moment, oh, my brush broke, so I just ripped the brush off and used it anyway because I had the paint on it anyway. So I'm adding the white waterfall now, just so I know where the actual water is falling. This helps with planning the rest of the painting, so I'm just adding those little bits in there. This is just titanium white straight as much as I can, but you'll find that because the paint's still wet, you have to keep wiping your brush off, going back, get more white. So I'm taking a bit of white from the bottom there and I'm adding it into the bottom here. You see where I'm highlighting some of the rocks, just using the paint that's still wet at the bottom. I'm just adding it into the reflections on the rocks below, but I need to go back and put more white in my brush, obviously, because yeah, can't do that. Defining the rocks, that is burnt sienna and burnt umber, just defining. And then I thought I'd go back and define some of the tree branches. It's almost dry by now, probably, so I'm going back with a bit of burnt umber and a little bit of burnt sienna, just to add some roots and branches into the trees, because, and I'm just letting the brush go where it wants to go, you know. As long as you define the roots, and they're big, thick, fat roots and bark and trunk and all that, you can add as many branches as you want, and it doesn't matter. In fact, the more branches you add, the more realistic the tree looks. That's what I find. Here I'm adding some darker branches here. I think I've got a little bit of crimson in my brush there. I didn't really mean to have crimson in my brush, but it worked alright. So here I am working on some branches up here. It's got a bit of crimson in there, burnt umber, burnt sienna. Okay, this is where I went wrong. Okay, I added some dark there, that's not right. And then I added dark there, that still didn't go right. But when you're painting quickly and you're painting for an event, you can't think about that, you just got to blend it off. You just got to keep going with the brush. Go back into the water, take it off with your brush. See, I'm going back to the water now. Getting a wet brush, bit of tissue, blend it in, take it off, mix it in, make it look better than it was. And that's the thing, you can't panic with acrylics, you've got to keep going. And remember, this is still at normal speed. This is how I paint sometimes, really quickly. It's very hard for me to do a commentary because it's so ridiculously quick that I don't even think about it when I'm painting. I don't even think, I just look at it, and a bit of lemon yellow there up into the rocks there because I want the reflection of the water to bounce into the rocks. But I think what it is what I do is squint my eyes and look kind of past the painting, like the magic eye paintings, and sort of look at the whole picture and see if it's working, see where the light is, where the dark is, and that is the important thing, the contrast of the whole painting. It's not necessarily each rock, it's not each tree, it's whether the trees are dark enough, or the rocks are dark enough, or the light's light enough. See, that rock is not dark enough, so I went back with a bit of the Prussian blue and the ultramarine as well, and I went back and just kind of shoved it on there because that's not dark enough. It should be darker. And the bottom right is not dark enough either, so hopefully I'll go back and add to that as well, because the bottom right is not too dark either. Because you want to control people's view of the painting, you want to control their eye, where they look, so you want them to sort of look to the places you want them to look at in the painting. Come on, please go back to the bottom right, go back to the bottom right. Go on. No, not yet. I will do. I think I will do, hopefully. See, these are not dark enough, that tree's not dark enough, so I'm going back with the burnt umber, adding more dark to that, because you want to control people's, you want them to go right into the centre of the painting where the light is, and then follow the little stream and go down to the waterfalls, and then follow the waterfall, and you kind of want them to have this little journey with you when you're looking at the painting, and the person's going to be up there on the left, so it'd be like, you look at the light, look at the person, and then you follow it down to the waterfall, which is exactly what I was thinking when I painted this picture. I want someone to think that, you know, the love of God is coming in, and we're part of creation, and you know, you come into that, and then, you know, the stream of life, you know, the love, and that's why you got the crimson down there as well. It's just like adds warmth to the painting. Here I'm adding burnt sienna, burnt sienna, a little bit yellow, burnt umber down because it's not dark enough. So basically burnt sienna, and if it's not dark enough, add a bit of burnt umber. Some foliage to the trees, so you've got some leaves down there, because, you know, this was a mistake. Look at that line going down there. That is not a good line. That cuts the painting right up in half. So I went back, and I think, hopefully, now, got rid of it. Got rid of that line. See that line that was there? It kind of cut the painting up. It stopped you looking at the waterfall and made you look at the background instead. So you got to kind of look at the whole thing and say, okay, where are people looking? Where am I looking when I look at this? Is it working? Is it flowing properly? I'm adding some more white here, just pure titanium white on the waterfall. I guess the waterfall is probably going to be the lightest point. This camera obviously doesn't show the colors properly. I mean, you'll see when I put the picture up that the colors change when you look at it straight on. This is slightly at the side, and the camera's kind of making up for the lack of light, so the colors are not properly right. Here I'm adding some yellow ochre because I want the reflections of the actual waterfalls to be in the water, so I'm adding a bit of dark in between the reflections there, and adding a bit of that light into the rocks. Come on, do the right hand side, dude. Come on. Really? There must be some. There we go. Oh, no, a bit of light. No, go darker. Go. That's it. Gosh, I did this a while ago and I've forgotten how I did it. There you go. That's better. See, it draws your eye back into the middle. It takes your eye back to the focus, which is the waterfall. And so I guess going dark around the edges of a painting is kind of a cheater's way of saying, hey, I want you to look right in the middle of the painting. I don't want you to look on the outside. I don't want your eye to wander off. Okay, this is a small brush with a bit of burnt umber on it, and you can do these little branches, and it looks great because you're just letting the brush kind of twiddle around. See how I'm holding it quite lightly, just let it twist around and do what it wants, and it does this amazing things. And it's not me really, it's just me just pushing the brush upwards and letting the paint twiddle it around and turn it around. There you go, a bit closer now. Alright, so now you can see it properly. I think I'm going to put the person in now, a bit of burnt umber and burnt sienna on the brush. Yeah, I guess people, you need to go and do some life drawing. I think probably the best thing to do. That's too skinny, you know, the head's too big, so I think I made the body a bit bigger, and the legs a bit bigger. I mean, I think it's really difficult. You have to do it by eye, but you need some practice really drawing people. So life drawing helps even with this sort of thing, even with this basic kind of little body movement here, this little, where does the knee bend, does the elbow fit on the knee, and you know, all these little things, like where does the bum come in, like how far down is it, that is all to do with life drawing. The head's too big, it's too long, there's too much of a chin, so I use a bit of water on a clean brush, clean the brush off, a bit of water, takes it off the top of the head as well. Thank you. Gosh, my head's still too big, I think, a little bit, so I'm making the legs a bit thicker. Okay, see what I'm doing here. That looks better. It's just a really fine thing. When you draw a lot of people, go and do lots of drawings of people, and you will gradually, over time, you will start to know what is right. See that? Yes, thank you. I knew that head was too big. Sorry, I'm doing this. What is that for? I'm doing. Yeah, exactly. Take it off. Bit of water on the brush, clean brush. Take it off. Yeah. So what it is basically putting on, taking off, putting on, taking off, but quickly, because acrylic dries so quickly. You have to be quick with it. Basically, that is how I do a painting like that. I hope you and sign it now. So a bit of white and lemon yellow and a bit of Prussian blue. Do my signature. But anyway, let's see what my friend Jim Pooley has to say about this painting. Jim's the guy who's kindly done the music for these videos, and he always does a review. This time I think he just did a verbal review. So yeah, we'll just listen to that next.
Hello, this is Jim taking another look at one of Wally's paintings. As he only spent 15 minutes painting this, I'm going to describe it in 15 words. The words are as follows. Large fish from TV show Stingray. Scary eye. Cheeky wolf. Small amusing fish. A person. There we go. I think that just about describes the picture. Match of the day is about to start, so I'm going to leave it there, and hopefully we'll have something else for us to review again very soon.
Thanks for that, Jim. Brilliant. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Sweating a little bit. It actually took about 15 minutes with all the brush washing and cleaning and all that. 15 minutes was on the video. I might put the whole thing on there. I might just put the whole thing on there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry it's a bit longer than the others, but it's from start to finish. So there you go. Thank you. Bye bye. Oh, I forgot to mention some things. Yeah. What do I normally say? Oh gosh, it's been a while since I made a video. It really has. But thanks to Jim Pooley for doing the music for these videos. Please subscribe and all that stuff, you know, and all the likes my Oliver Pengo the art page. Or my website oliverpengo.co.uk, where you can buy prints of my work and stuff. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who's supported me over the last few years, and yeah, hope to see you again soon, and hopefully I won't leave it as long. Yeah, God bless, bye bye.